Hi, Tea Society. Welcome back to the Antisocial Planet. And today we are checking out Chronicle. I'm sorry, okay? I haven't heard anyone pronounce it yet, so I will listen and I will pivot if I have to. But we're checking out the intro interviews that were posted, starting with Junyoung because that was the first one that was out. And I'm super excited because I don't really know a ton about this group other than it's band. I'm assuming it's rock given the name of the group. And Xian. I don't mean to be basic like that, but I don't really know much about what the concept of the group is or the different members that are in it. I know that there are 4, yes. So I'm really excited to be checking out the interviews and to learn a little bit more about them before getting into music stuff. So we'll see what Junyoung is about. I am stupidly excited. Let's see what we got here. What's the vibe? What's our role?
안녕하세요. 크록티칼 베이시스트.
Bassist.
반갑습니다.
I'm sorry. I got distracted. His voice is so soft. Momentarily distracted. I'm like, I have to properly read subtitles. Okay.
안녕하세요. 크록티칼 베이시스트 이준영이라고 합니다.
Okay.
반갑습니다.
I was making sure that I got the pronunciation of his name.
음악과 악기를 굉장히 어렸을 때부터 많이 다뤘던 것 같아요. 처음에는 제가 4살 땐가
Violin.
시작을 해서 초등학교에 입학한 후에 클라리넷을
Whoa. I would not expect that. To go on to do a rock band.
음악적 색깔은 사실 되게 어렸을 때부터 다양한 장르들을 다 좋아했던 것 같아요.
I would say so. We started with violin and now we're a bassist.
퓨전 재즈나 아니면은 시티팝이라든가.
Ooh, fusion jazz. You've got me interested.
음악들을 많이 들으면서 그거를 또 제 스타일대로 승화시키려고 많이 노력을 했지만은 요즘에 드는 생각은 어떤 장르냐 아니면은 어떤 걸 좋아하느냐를 떠나서 뭔가 나 자신 뭔가 어떤 베이스 연주를 했을 때 이거는 베이시스트 준영이 쳤구나 뭔가 이렇게 각인이 될 수 있는 스타일을 구축하고 싶어 하는 것 같아요.
I mean, look, I love a bass line. I'm excited by the fact that he said anything about jazz. You say jazz, sprinkle it anywhere, I'm instantly interested, especially if you're a bassist. I got my eye on you, okay? Anyone who doesn't know, any band group I've ever been interested in, regardless of which part of the music industry it is, bassists and drummers, I know I have a type. So I'm already all right, you got me with, you play the bass, and you have some jazz influence. I'm already interested. I think it's interesting too that we went from a string instrument to a woodwind instrument, right? Clarinet, and then to bass. I think that's an interesting progression too, but could be an interesting angle within the group. Also, we debuted a second time. Where were we before? Do I need to investigate that? I have so many groups to catch up on. I have so many things.
사실 지금 시기가 사실은 앨범이 나오기 직전에 자켓 촬영도 하고 녹음도 하고 합주도 하고 바쁜 시간을 보내고 있는 게 딱 저의 10년 전 모습을 보고 있는 것 같아서 되게
starting again?
떨리기도 하면서 설레기도 하면서 뭔가 아련함도 살짝 있는 것 같아요. 익숙하진 않은데 뭔가 모른 아련함이 계속 있는 느낌? 계속 준비를 하면서 그런 것 같습니다.
I'm glad we're coming in positive though.
사실 아직 그렇게 오랫동안 봐온 건 아니라고 생각을 합니다. 이제 결성된 지 한 3개월밖에 안 됐고 아직 공연도 해본 적도 없고 아직
It's a tight turnaround time.
하지만은 뭔가 서로 최대한 많은 거를 보여주고 싶어하는 팀인 것 같아요. 각 멤버들도 그렇고 저희 또한 음악을 통해서 대중들에게 최대한 많은 거를 표현하고 보여줄 수 있는 팀이 되고자 하는 그런 팀인 것 같습니다.
That's so interesting to see. Like I was saying, 3 months is a quick turnaround time, especially in this particular part, music industry, right? Anything that is K-pop or K-pop adjacent, right? Korean music industry in general has a bit of a rigorous prep period. And I understand that they're off the beaten path, right? They're not going through one of the bigger labels. So that's definitely going to impact the way that their dynamic works. But still, going from 3 months of rehearsing to putting out any kind of material is already like tight schedule. And again, I get it from like we don't have the budget and time of a bigger company to back us up, but still. And if you're picking someone with Junyoung talking about like a second debut, I know Xian is also from experience in the industry, right? I don't know about the other two members, but if you're picking people who already have a bit of performance experience, then I guess you can fast track some of that because you don't need to train someone to be comfortable in a performance space or like a recording space, right? Rituals?
취미라고 말하기 좀 그런데
I feel like we're so superstitious about that.
에너지 음료가 됐던 아니면 아메리카노가 커피가 됐던 카페인 없이는 무대가 좀 힘이
You seem very like low key.
제가 무대 위에서 약간 얼굴 부분 표정 같은 게 좀 표정을 찡그린다거나 아니면은 신나는 곡을 할 때 약간 강아지처럼 막 입을 막 멍하게 벌리고 연주를 한다거나
I feel like that's just a bass.
들이 조금씩 있는 것 같아요.
Cute.
그게 평소에는 보이지 않았던 약간 좀 살짝 바보 같은 표정이랄까 그런 게 좀 있는 것 같습니다.
I feel like it's just a bassist thing. There's a certain vibe that bassists have while performing.
나는 편입니다. 티가 나는 편인데 어떻게 티 안 나게 좀 묻어가고 싶은데 이게 베이스는 틀리면은 그 공기가 바뀐다고 그래야 될까? 뭔가 공기가 바뀌어요. 그래서 그거를 무대 위에 있는 이제 멤버들은 다 알잖아요. 제가 틀렸다는 거를. 제 베이스나 악기가 물론 들으시는 분들은 잘 안 들릴 수도 있긴 한데 틀렸을 때 그
I always hear it.
분위기 거기에 따라서 이 감출 수 없는 그 표정이 나오는 것 같습니다. 티가 좀 많이 나는 것 같아요.
I'm sure he'll do fine. It's true though. Like I feel like the bass and drums, beat percussion side of things can drastically change the vibe of a song. If you've ever seen someone change the drums or the bass line of a song that you know super well, and suddenly you're like, this is a way different song. Like the tempo changes, which changes the overall vibe. So I totally get him talking about how it feels like there's more of an effect than like the audience might notice, especially if you're the performer, right? Because you're relying on that percussion to set tempo and the beat that you're going along with. So if that changes, suddenly like the rest of the performance kind of has to shift to like fit with whatever that change in like tempo is. Probably nerve-wracking. I say that as someone who, despite my love of bass and drums, plays neither because I do not have that kind of ability to keep a beat. I'm very much the person where I'm relying on the drums to keep that tempo for me because I will not be able to do it myself. So I'm excited to get to hear him play. I love a bass, so I'll be listening. Not for him to make a mistake, to like gush and say good things, probably.
악기를 바꾼다면 저는 항상 그래왔듯 전 드럼을 한번 쳐보고 싶습니다.
Well, don't take my whole heart right immediately. I gotta give the other members a chance.
저는 멜로디를 좀 너무 많이 들어서 좀 문제라고 생각을 합니다. 어렸을 때부터 악기만 연주를 해왔어서 그런지 모르겠는데 이게 요즘에는 좀 가사의 중요성을 다시금 느끼고 있는데 너무 좀 멜로디를 좀 듣는
Makes sense though. If you didn't start as like a vocalist, you're probably thinking about
가사를 많이 들으려고.
like the vocal as like another instrument layer, right?
음악 외로 쉬는 날 제가 취미가 굉장히 많은 것 같습니다. 캠핑도 좋아하고 노래 듣는 것도 좋아하고 책 읽는 것도 좋아하고
All right.
드라이브하는 것도 좋아하고
You know what?
등산하는 것도 좋아하고
Don't take my whole heart. Give the other members a chance.
계절 따라서 하고 싶은 거를 다양하게 하는 것 같아요.
Look, hey, camping, I was already like, hang on. Maybe that's just because I've been watching a lot of laid back camp. So it's made me nostalgic for when I used to go camping. But then you threw in reading books and I'm like, hold on. We've just begun getting into this group and Xian is here. So like a contender already. And I need you to just give me a second to acknowledge that there are other people in this group before you like check off every box of where my bias might end up. He seems like such a cutie pie though. He's very like soft spoken, a little bit, I don't know, subdued, which I feel like happens with bass players, drummers too. Like I feel like drummers are either like super outgoing or they're like some of the quietest people and it just throws someone off. But like I feel like he's very low key. And I think that also intrigues me because I also tend to bias people who are like a little bit off to the side, a little bit quieter, might like just observing more than being the center of everything.
제가 취미가 많다고 말씀드렸잖아요. 그래서 그 한 열 몇 가지 되는 취미 중에 하나를 딱 골라서 아 오늘은 이거다 라고 할 때도 있고 정말 오랜만에 쉴 때는 정말로 집에서 아무것도 안 하고
Mood.
자고,
Doing nothing is great.
먹고, 유튜브 보다가 다시 자고 그렇게 하루를 보낸 적도 많고요. 휴일은 휴식이니까.
Oddly endearing.
케미는 좀 더 합주도 해보고 네, 같이 더 친해져 봐야 될 것 같아요. 근데 지금까지 되게 좋은 것 같아요. 저랑 비슷한 내향인이고 좋아하는
Oh no, they're introverts. I'm screwed.
멤버 같습니다.
I mean, I know.
저희 멤버 중에서
I come for the future.
가장 밝은 네, 그런 멤버입니다.
Interesting. To use bright. Hello? I guess it's like low budget, so it's probably like we're all just taking turns about who has what job. Very excited. I like getting some of the personality stuff. I feel like just getting like a vibe for him a little bit. Like even at the end there when he's like, I'm introverted, I'm like, yeah, I was picking up on that. Just because he has a very like soft voice. He seems a little bit like he's not quite sure what to do with this whole like interview situation, which is very like, I say that as an introvert. I get to be more charismatic because I am actually alone in a room by myself and I don't have to think about the fact that anyone is going to watch this. So that helps me out a lot more. Also years of doing drama. So I'm like, we're just gonna put on our performance hat and we'll be fine. But I really like getting to hear some of the like influence, right? Talking about the different instruments that he has learned over the years and some of the music influence as well. I think that very much intrigues me. I always like to see how a band, even though they might have like a core genre or sound, how the different backgrounds of the people involved end up shifting the way that something is done, right? You'll get like drummers who end up playing guitar and so like the guitar sounds different because they're coming from like a drumming background, or like a vocalist who is learning other instruments and because of that making like the bass lines go along with like vocal melodies in a way that someone else wouldn't, or in this case having something like violin or clarinet or like any kind of classical background is gonna change the way that someone puts together a piece or even like influences what that music sound is gonna be. So it makes me very excited to see where we go, because even just with this one introduction and then knowing who Xian is before this, having even that is already making me excited to see what the group could grow into as they start to bring in some of those influences and explore a little bit more. I didn't realize how quick this was all like rehearsal and now we're doing stuff. I understand like a little bit of the scheduling just in terms of Xian doing stuff with Dreamcatcher before this happened, but I was expecting like a little bit more of things going on behind the scenes before they were just like, and now we're doing stuff. But hey, sometimes you just gotta try something and work out the kinks as you go. So it makes me excited. Like I said, I was already excited for this group anyway. I love a band, especially bands from other parts of the world, right? I know that in Korea it's like a little bit of an iffy thing because of like history and stuff, but I've been a big fan of like Japanese rock for, oh, we don't need to do the math of how long it's been, okay? But for a while, definitely something that I'm super interested in. I always like finding more bands to explore and just see what they're going to bring to the table. And even just, again, going into this with the interviews and getting to know some of the members and get more of a background of what do they have as musicians bringing into this dynamic before getting to listen to the music, and a little bit about personalities. I like to have a little bit of an anchor while I'm going through music so I can figure out how everyone fits into it. So I'm excited to hear what Junyoung brings as a bassist, and I haven't heard anything from him at all. Excited to see what he brings to the table, especially as one of my favorite parts of any kind of music is like the bass line. So pretty excited to get into more of this, but I hope you enjoyed watching that along with me. You can click this best place to go and see my previous reactions with Dreamcatcher, but we'll also be getting to more of Chronicle. I don't think he pronounced it in this. Anyway, you can subscribe so you miss next time I post a reaction, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.